Good evening everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy Daily Newspaper Analysis. Today is 14th November 2025 and today we have a few topics for the discussion from different newspapers. And here is the list of topics that we are going to deal in today's session, and you can also go through all these topics as well. And the first topic with which we are going to start this session is about anti-defection law. And this article has been given in the Hindu newspaper, and from the syllabus point of view this is very important for General Studies paper 2, and you can also go through the syllabus as well. Now this topic deals with the anti-defection law, and recently West Bengal High Court disqualifies Mukul Roy from Bengal Assembly. Now we'll understand the context as well, why Mukul Roy was disqualified as an MLA from West Bengal Assembly. So let's first understand the anti-defection law, a brief background about the anti-defection law. Now first thing that we should understand here is that the anti-defection law has been included in the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution, and this 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution has been created by the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985. Right. So however, if we talk about the objective of creating an anti-defection law, the main objective is to curb political defections by the members who are already elected from one political party and shifted to another political party, which is known as the political defection. So in order to curb the political defection, this anti-defection law has been added to the 10th schedule of the Constitution. Now in fact, it is also expected that this anti-defection law will bring stability for the governments as well. And apart from that, as I have already told you, that anti-defection law has been added to the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. And apart from that, if we talk about the grounds of for disqualification of MLAs and MPs, which are mentioned in Article 102 Clause 2, Article 191 Clause 2 for both MPs and MLAs respectively, right? So apart from that, those MLAs who is an elected member, an MP who is an elected member and later gives up his membership to the political party on which he was elected, and he votes against the whip issued by the political party, so then also he will be disqualified. And an independent member will also be disqualified if he joins any political party after his election, and a nominated member will also be disqualified if he joins any political party after the nomination, after 6 months of nomination. However, there are certain exceptions. Exception to speaker has been provided. Speaker, after his election as the Speaker of the House, he can resign from the membership of the political party. He would be excluded from the anti-defection laws provisions. And another exemption is any political party's merger is also allowed under the anti-defection law, right? So that means from a particular political party, if 2/3 of the members are agreed to join another political party, so those members will not be subjected to the anti-defection law. So I hope you get a brief idea about the anti-defection law. So let's discuss in detail with examples, right? So in fact, let's understand the grounds of disqualification under the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution, right? So in fact, it has mentioned certain grounds for disqualification of MPs and MLAs. Now firstly, if any MP or MLA voluntarily gives up their membership to the party, now in that case, those MPs or MLAs will be disqualified under the anti-defection law, right? So that essentially means not just the formal resignation, but even the conduct indicating defection also qualifies under the anti-defection law. Now the best example is Mukul Roy case of 2024, right? So in this case, the Calcutta High Court has ruled that he voluntarily gave up the membership of the BJP because on BJP ticket he won elections, right? But later he gave up his membership to the BJP and he joined the Trinamool Congress. However, Speaker did not take any decision with respect to disqualification of this member, because under anti-defection law, the final authority to take a decision rests with the Speaker. But with respect to Mukul Roy, Speaker did not take any decision. So finally, the High Court has declared or ruled that Mukul Roy will be disqualified under the anti-defection law. So I hope you have understood this. And the second ground is if any MP or MLA so they are voting against the party whip, or they are abstaining from the voting against the wishes of the political party, then also the members will be disqualified under the anti-defection law as well, right? So if a member acts against the party direction without prior permission, so there should be a prior permission from the party if any member, either MLA or MP, so if they wanted to vote contrary to the party whip issued, right? So in fact it has an exception also. The exception is the party may condone the act within 15 days as well if party want it, but it solely depends on the discretion of the political party to which this MP or MLA belongs to. And apart from that, it also applies to the independent candidates. So independent MPs or MLAs, so they contest elections independently, so they actually not part of any political party when they are contesting elections. But after winning elections, if they join any political party, then also they will be disqualified under the anti-defection law, right? Because they won elections on their own independently without any party, so they should not join any party after the election. And apart from that, it also applies to the nominated members as well, right? Because they can join a political party within 6 months of their nomination, but after 6 months of their nomination, if they join any political party, they will be disqualified under the anti-defection law. So after 6 months of their nomination, they're not allowed to join any other political party, right? So after 6 months, joining a party leads to the disqualification of even nominated members as well. However, let's understand that there are certain exceptions to disqualification under the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So let's understand what are the exceptions available, because briefly in the beginning we have understood the exceptions to the anti-defection law, right? So in case of a merger of a political party, so in case if there is a political party and 2/3 of the members of that political party decides to merge with another political party, then the anti-defection law and its provisions will not be applicable for the 2/3 of the members who are joining another political party, right? So one such example is Goa in 2019. 10 out of 15 Congress MLAs, they merged with the BJP. Now in that case, for these 10 MLAs, anti-defection law will not be applicable because 2/3 of the members of a political party decided to merge or join another political party. And in Telangana also, from 2014 to 2018, several Congress MLAs merged with the ruling TRS party under the 2/3 rule as well. Now apart from this 2/3 measure, there is another exception. So the exception is, so a speaker of Lok Sabha, once he is elected to the office of the speaker of the Lok Sabha, so in order to ensure independence and neutrality of the office, speaker may resign from his or her party membership. So once a speaker resigns from the membership of the party, he will not be subjected to the provisions of anti-defection law, right? So exemption to the speaker has also been provided, and exemption for this party merger, 2/3 of the members if they decided to join another political party, then also the exemption under the anti-defection law will be applicable as well. But let's understand why there is a need to have an anti-defection law for a country like India, where we have a parliamentary form of democracy and we have a multi-party system, right? So in this context, why we need to have an anti-defection law? So the reason for having an anti-defection law, to uphold the will of the people. For example, you are an independent candidate and people have chosen you as an independent candidate, not a representative of any political party, right? So people are disaffected with the particular political party, and that's why people have voted an independent candidate. But after winning elections, if you join any other political party, so this is against the wishes and will of the people. So therefore this is one reason for bringing anti-defection law. The second reason is to facilitate democratic realignment of parties in legislature by merger of the parties as well. And the third, to prevent developmental expenditure incurred on irregular elections. And apart from that, to ensure loyalty of members to the political party and its policies, and whatever political party that they have got the ticket and won elections, so they should be loyal to the political party as well, and at the same time providing greater political stability by checking this defections, right? The problem in India is if one MP or MLA, he won elections with a party ticket and he later joined another political party, so it very often leads to the corruption, horse trading, instability in the government, fall of governments. So therefore, in order to check all these evils, anti-defection law has been brought in through the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Right, so let's understand the authority to decide a disqualification. So who will decide the disqualification of a member who joined another political party? Now the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act has given the responsibility to decide the disqualification to the speaker or the chairperson, right? So they are the authority to decide disqualification petitions. However, Supreme Court time and again has held that the decisions of chairman and speaker are subjected to the judicial review on limited grounds, such as malified action on the part of either chairman or speaker, or even violation of natural justice. So these are the grounds where courts can also intervene with respect to the disqualification of the members and with respect to the decision of the speaker with respect to disqualification of a member. However, let's understand the judgments of the Supreme Court in this regard, which deals with the anti-defection law, decisions of the speaker or chairman. So the very important judgment is Kyoto-Holohan judgment of 1992. And in this judgment, the Supreme Court has specifically upheld the validity of the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, which is the anti-defection law. And in fact, the Supreme Court in the very same judgment also held that judicial review is permitted only after speaker's decision has been taken. Right, so not before speaker's decision, because the final authority to decide disqualification is the speaker or chairman. So therefore, the Supreme Court clearly held that the judicial review is permitted only after speaker or chairman have taken a decision regarding the disqualification of a member. So this is the first very important case. The second case is Kesham Meghchandra Singh versus Speaker Manipur Legislative Assembly 2020. Now in this case, the Supreme Court held that speaker must decide the defection petitions within a reasonable time, and the Supreme Court also held that the reasonable time should be 3 months. So within 3 months, the speaker must decide on the this disqualification petitions filed under the anti-defection law. This is also a very important judgment. Next important judgment is Ravi Nayak versus Union of India case 1994. Now in this case, the Supreme Court held that voluntarily giving up membership of a political party on which a candidate is elected can be inferred from conduct. And Nabam Rabia case 2016, and in this case the Supreme Court again reiterated that speaker cannot decide defection cases while facing pending removal motion. Right, so in fact, understand that sometimes a motion is being passed in either state legislative assembly or in Lok Sabha for the removal of the speaker of Lok Sabha or state legislative assembly. So while this motion is pending, speaker cannot decide the defection matters. Right, so speaker cannot decide the defection matters, and this is what the Supreme Court has held in Nabam Rabia judgment of 2016. Right, so this is what the anti-defection law is all about. Right, I hope you have understood. However, there are some issues within the anti-defection law as well. So speaker has been intentionally deliberately delaying the anti-defection petitions, and secondly, a speaker is from the ruling party, so speaker is expected to act in a neutral and independent manner, but here speaker is having some biased position towards the ruling government as well. Right, so and the third major issue with the anti-defection law, for example, it is expected that any member of a state legislative assembly or parliament it is expected to represent the wishes and aspirations of the people of their respective constituencies. However, the anti-defection law is solely upholding the interests of a political party, not the interests of the people who have actually elected these representatives. For example, if any law is being passed and that law is against the wishes and aspirations of people of a particular constituency, so since MP or MLA represent the wishes and aspirations of that constituency, he may oppose the bill. So he may give his or her vote against that law. However, if he voted against that law, he will be subjected to disqualification under anti-defection law. So there are a lot of challenges, and there is a need to comprehensively reform this anti-defection law to make it more and more effective, and at the same time accommodate the wishes and aspirations of the people as well. Right. So the next topic is draft seed bill, and this is very important topic from General Studies paper 3 point of view, and this topic has been given in the Hindu newspaper, and from syllabus point of view this is very important for General Studies paper 3, and you can also go through the syllabus as well. So let's understand about this draft seeds bill and what is the objective of this draft seeds bill. Now, in fact, recently the Union government has released the Draft Seeds Bill of 2025. The objective of Draft Seeds Bill is to replace the old outdated Seeds Act 1966 and Seeds Control Order of 1983. So that means essentially the Draft Seeds Bill 2025 will replace both Seeds Act 1966 and Seeds Control Order of 1983 as well. So I hope it is clear. Now, in fact, this proposed legislation from the Parliament aims to strengthen seed quality regulation, protect farmers, and also improve transparency in the national seed supply. Now, quality seeds at affordable prices is very important for the farmers and the profitability, better productivity, food security, doubling farmers' income. So in order to achieve all these objectives, we should have a comprehensive seeds law, so that could actually prevent the companies producing fake seeds or malified seeds. So in this context, the draft seeds bill has been brought in by the government. So let's understand some key features of draft seeds bill 2025, because it also has some key features as well. Now, in fact, the government has introduced the modernized seeds bill 2025, and this seeds bill aligning with the regulations, current agricultural, technological, and even the market realities. So it deals with the seed regulation, keeping in mind agricultural, technological, and market realities currently. And apart from that, this draft seeds bill, so it also seeks to replace existing frameworks such as Seed Act of 1966, Seeds Control Order 1983. In fact, the both Seeds Act 1966 and Seeds Control Order 1983, so both are old and outdated laws which are not suitable to the current realities, changing trends in agriculture, changing trends in technology. They're not able to address the current challenges as well. So that's why there is a need to bring a new law so that could comprehensively address the contemporary challenges which deals with seeds, agriculture, every domain. Right now, in fact, the main and key objective is to ensure affordable seeds, that to high quality seeds, and those high quality seeds are accessible to every farmer at the affordable prices. Now, when every farmer is able to access seeds at affordable prices, so it certainly increases the crop productivity, it increases their incomes, it will help achieve the objective of doubling farmers' income, and it will also ensure food security of our country, and it will also help the food processing industry. We can also export food to other countries, right? So because India is one of the largest producer of agricultural commodities. So because of that reason, it is very, very important that we need to have a comprehensive seeds bill, so that could keep in mind all these issues and prospects. However, the bill will focus on transparency and accountability, and there will be strict checks on seed supply chain to protect farmers from the losses as well. Right, so let's understand some important provisions for farmers' rights and seed quality regulation, because it has included in it both provisions for the farmers' rights and even seed quality regulation, because there are a lot of private companies which also produce seeds. Now, in this context, we need to ensure the quality of seeds, and we should also regulate the private companies which are involved in producing these seeds, right? So therefore, the bill primarily focuses on protecting the farmers' rights, particularly access to reliable and quality certified seeds to the farmers. And apart from that, it also ensures farmers are protected from the crop losses, right? For example, imagine that a fake seeds are being supplied, fake cotton seeds are being supplied to the farmers. So farmers will face crop failures, crop losses. So this seeds bill, a draft seeds bill, so it will protect the farmers from such crop losses which are being caused by a fake or adulterated or substandard seed varieties which are being sold by the private companies in the market. Now, when it regulates such adulterated substandard seeds, when the government is able to ensure that the private companies sell quality seeds at affordable prices to the farmers, it will lead to the resilience of the existing agricultural systems as well, right? So apart from that, a seed certification also a very important domain with respect to the quality regulation of seeds. Now, the bill of essentially aims to streamline the process of seed regulation, including quality testing, labeling, and even distribution norms as well, right? So in fact, it will further strengthen the oversight on seed producer, private companies, seed processors, distributors. So there will be a greater accountability, greater transparency, better protection of the farmers' rights as well, and it will also contribute to the more resilient nature of the existing agricultural systems, right? So apart from that, this bill also deals with regulation of pricing, availability of quality seeds at affordable prices, and even timely supply of improved seed varieties to all the farmers, right? So therefore, it primarily aims at further strengthening the agriculture or seed ecosystem in India, supplying quality seeds to all the farmers across the country. And next important article is about India's carbon emissions coming down. Now, in fact, compared to 2024, in 2025, India's carbon emissions have been significantly declined, right? So from the syllabus point of view, this is very important for General Studies paper 3, and you can also go through the syllabus as well, and this topic has been covered in the Hindu newspaper. So let's understand India's emission scenario. Now, in fact, India's carbon emission growth slows down in the year 2025 because the global carbon project essentially tracks the emissions of different countries. So as per global carbon project, it has reported that India's greenhouse gas emissions, so they grow by only 1.4% in 2025, and this number is significantly lower than 2024 because in 2024 the greenhouse gas emissions grow by 4%, but this year is only 1.4% alone. Now we will understand what are the reasons for a reduced or decline in the greenhouse gases rise. However, this decline in the greenhouse gas emissions in India can be attributed to the favorable monsoon conditions. Now, in fact, if we don't have favorable monsoon conditions, so then there will be higher temperatures and there will be more heat, and that will require more energy consumption as well. However, this year we have a favorable monsoon condition, and that has reduced the demand for cooling and a strong rise in the clean energy transition, solar energy, wind energy. So all these factors have contributed to reducing the greenhouse gases emissions in India to 1.4% in the year 2025 as per the global carbon project. So let's understand the key findings on India's 2025 emission trends, which have been published by Global Carbon Project. So if we talk about the key findings of this project, this report, so India's greenhouse gas emissions has increased only 1.4% compared to last year, because last year the rise was 4%, but this year it is only 1.4% increase in the greenhouse gas emissions. So therefore it is just a moderated rise in the greenhouse gas emissions in India. So second thing that we should understand here is that we have a favorable monsoon season this year. Now favorable monsoon season means that there are lesser temperatures, lesser heat, and lesser demand for energy as well, right? So all these factors have attributed to the lower emissions as well. Now in India, still thermal power dominates the major energy generating source. Thermal energy, which uses coal as a raw material. Now coal is a fossil fuel, and if we burn coal to generate electricity, it also emits a large amounts of greenhouse gases. So however, reduced energy demand has led to the lower emissions from the thermal power plants as well. And apart from that, government has been investing a lot in wind energy, solar energy generation. So that has traditionally helped us reduce our dependence on coal and helping stabilize the emission levels as well. And apart from that, at the global level, so the emissions are expected to rise 1.1%, reaching 38 billion tons this year, right? So however, if you look at the major emitters of the greenhouse gases throughout the world, now India is the third largest emitter of the greenhouse gases. India has been emitting around 3.2 billion tons every year greenhouse gas emissions. However, China is the largest emitter of the greenhouse gases. It has been emitting around 12 billion tons of carbon dioxide. However, US is in the second spot. It has been emitting 4.9 billion tons of carbon every year. So these three countries are the major emitters of the greenhouse gases in the world. So let's understand the global carbon budget and India's emission profile in this context. Now this report has been published by the Global Carbon Project. So what is this Global Carbon Project? So this is a leading scientific consortium, and it has been tracking greenhouse gas emissions, land use changes, and even the carbon sink as well. However, if we talk about the carbon budget of any country, or a carbon budget of the world, it is an allowable amount of CO2 emissions to keep global warming below a temperature threshold. Now it is as per the Paris Climate Agreement. So the threshold limit is 1.5 degree Celsius. So this is allowable amount of CO2 emissions. So this CO2 emissions are allowed to keep global warming below a certain temperature threshold. However, if we look at India's energy mix, so coal remains a dominant fuel in India in power sector, because still we are generating a sizable amount of electricity through burning coal in the thermal power plants, which generate a large amounts of the greenhouse gases as well. However, even though we are still dependent on the coal for generating electricity, we have been making a rapid transition into the clean energy resources such as wind energy, solar energy, and they are also expanding rapidly. And apart from that, the permanent deforestation in India emits 4 billion tons it generates around 4 billion tons a year around the world, and it offset only partially by the reforestation efforts. However, so if we talk about the climate change's impact, declining efficiency of land and ocean as important carbon sinks indicates reduced natural absorption capacity of both land and ocean, so that will further contribute to increasing global temperatures. So the solution should be all the countries should collectively act against climate change and global warming. There is a need for a faster transition into the clean energies, right? So the next very important topic is a protection of pristine sal forests in Jharkhand, and this has been given in the Hindu newspaper, and from the syllabus point of view, this is very important for Gender Studies paper 3. So let's discuss what is the topic and why it is in news. Now recently the Supreme Court has directed the Jharkhand government to declare 31,468 thousand hectares of pristine Saranda salt forest as a wildlife sanctuary because of its importance in conservation of environment, ecosystem and biodiversity. So Supreme Court has emphasized that protection of biodiversity is very important, but at the same time we need to balance sustainable mining and also ensuring the tribal rights who are living in the Saranda salt forest. We need to protect the tribal rights, we need to protect the biodiversity, conserve the biodiversity, and at the same time ensure sustainable mining as well. So this is what is called as balanced growth and development. So on the one hand we are balancing the development, and at the same time we are conserving the environment, ecosystem and protecting the rights of the tribal communities who are living in this forest as well, right? So let's understand Supreme Court's key directions and observations in this matter, right? So as we have already understood that court has directed the Jharkhand government to notify 31,468 hectares of Saranda as a wildlife sanctuary, because of its pristine importance, right? So in fact the Supreme Court also held that Saranda is among the world's most pristine salt forests, and it needs urgent statutory protection to preserve its important role. However, there are a number of tribal communities who are living in this Saranda salt forest, such as Hos, Munda and Orawan tribal communities, right? So therefore the court ensured that individual and community rights of Adivasi groups such as Ho, Munda and Orawan, they should not be affected, and it is also very important to recognize their role in management of the community resources, the forest resources, protection and conservation of biodiversity and environment. However, the Supreme Court has also reminded the constitutional obligation, a constitutional duty of Jharkhand to protect ecologically significant areas and also conduct a thorough environmental impact assessments for any developmental projects as well. So this is what the Supreme Court has directed the Jharkhand government regarding the salt forest in Jharkhand. So that's all for today, and thank you so much. So please subscribe our YouTube channel and also like a video. Thank you so much.